So I'm live, and so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start talking, even though it doesn't look like I'm on yet. Ooh. Okay, there we go. I'm on. Okay, hi everybody. I hope everybody is doing okay. I know it has been a doozy of a week. Um, but yeah, I'm here to do the forecast for January 11th through the 17th, your astrology forecast. So yeah, I wanted to start off by just doing a little pep talk, giving you guys a little bit of a pep talk. And as we know, the world is in upheaval at this point. And I would never ever say that astrology causes something. It's really important to recognize that astrology does not cause something. It's almost like saying, and Enrique posted something in the work. And you know what? Enrique, am I saying your name right? If I'm not, please let me know. Just phonetically spell it out for me or something, or send me a voice text. But yeah, so it's almost like saying that the English language causes things to happen, and it doesn't. So astrology is a language. It is indeed a language. And so, and there are correlations between planetary movement and event happenings, but one does not cause the other. So it's important to recognize that. So yeah, so that's all. I have theories about why it works, but I'm not going to get into that today. But it's important to recognize that we are living during a time when that's interesting. And frankly, like I know that there's a lot of people that are interested in astrology, and I dig them. I think that anybody who's into astrology, I'm like, you're all right in my book. But remember that love and light, love it. There's a place for love and light. If you're going to be sitting and meditating for a couple of days, like love and light is perfect. Sending love and light because somebody wants to win the lottery, that's perfect. But love and light is not necessarily working right now. So we are living in a time, and the astrology is kind of like pointing us in this direction, like, hey, this is something you need to pay attention to. Love and light is not going to necessarily move us forward. And we're in Capricorn season right now. Capricorn is very concerned about the practical and the tangible. So this is a time when, if you're feeling motivated or if you're feeling called to do it, write letters to your congresspeople or mobilize your communities, get involved somehow, you know. And so it's super, super critical, super, super important. I'm hoping that my internet does not cut out. Yeah, I think it's going to be okay. But anyway, so yeah, throughout 2020, there were a number of transits that pointed to the importance of examining your values. Like we had a couple of Venus transits, and Venus always represents values. And Venus went retrograde a couple of times, and not a couple of times, it was just retrograde for a while. And that kind of called us to like move inward and really just hash it out, like think about it, like what is it that's important. And a lot of us did a lot of like cleaning out the closets, things bubbled up and we're like, holy crap, I don't want to keep that, and we're just gonna like let that go. So this is why it was so important, and I love it because I'm like, the astrology was pointing to it. This is why it was so important to do that work, to really examine those values and to nail them down, to like write them down and put them on the wall and to be like, that's what I stand for right there. Because you just simply can't have erratic energy when it comes to a time like the times that we are living in right now. So all of a sudden I get this urge to cry. I'm like, if I start crying, I'm so sorry, everybody. So yeah, hopefully you got a chance to really go inward and to really examine what your values are. And if you didn't, because this year was just too freaking much for you, that's okay too. because yeah, 2020 was a lot for a lot of people. I have my cousin who I just adore so much is a nurse, and yeah, I mean I don't know how she has done all of the personal work that she's done because she's been so busy. So so yeah, it's a lot. And so if you had the chance to do a lot of work internal work so that you can mobilize, move forward, awesome. If not, be gentle with yourself. That's okay. You know, there's still time. You're human. We're all humans. We're just kind of like, and I humans are interesting. It's like we're little, we're like a bunch of kids, you know. I like to think about adult humans. We're just adult kids. You know, we just dress up different as we get older. That's all. So be gentle with yourself. Um, we have two major planets this year that are going to be kind of like calling the shots. Not necessarily calling the shots, but I mean they're gonna be pointing to a good amount of, I don't know, interesting happenings. And those two planets are Saturn and Uranus. And it's interesting because both Saturn, I think you've heard me talk about it before, but both Saturn and Uranus, they roll over Aquarius. So, and as you know, Aquarius is also a big player this year. Saturn wants to grow roots. Saturn governs over time and structures. And Uranus wants to just keep things moving and revolt. Like, and I'm not saying like revolt, but but Uranus, that's what Uranus does, is it revolts. It wants to move forward. It doesn't, if you want to think of a force for change, it's Uranus. If you have ever experienced, okay, here's an example. Midlife crisis. I'm right there myself. Like, it's eventually what ends up happening in midlife is Uranus it starts wherever your birth chart Uranus is, that's where it starts. Like, say my Uranus is in, goodness, it's in Scorpio. So my Uranus is in Scorpio. And so if I'd have to like actually Google it again. I'm like, is that true? Is it in Scorpio? It's in Scorpio. Okay. So my Uranus is in Scorpio. So the placement of it spends about 7 years in each sign. So Uranus in Scorpio, as it moves around every 7 years, once it gets to the halfway point around the chart, then it's at an opposition. Okay. Okay. All right. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and pull up my chart on here because I'm like, why not? That'll be fun, right? Let's see here. I'm going to do my screen share, and there we go. I'll pull up my chart here. Alrighty. So I want you to notice where Uranus is right now. And this is the chart for the 14th. I was doing some research for today's little Facebook Live, but Uranus right now is at 6 degrees of Taurus. Notice that Uranus, my Uranus, is in Scorpio, right over here. Okay, Scorpio is on the other side of the map. Okay, Uranus is over here. Eventually, Uranus is going to cross over into Gemini. And that's going to be the point when it actually is opposed. So I'm going to go to my chart. Dun, dun, dun. You guys get to actually see my chart. I've never pulled it up for you before, but here's my chart. Yeah, so that's fun. Yeah, so this is my Uranus right here. Okay, I've got a lot going on right there, but yeah, Uranus in Scorpio. That's where that's at. So once it's going to be at some point next year or the year after. I'm not really sure which, but here we've got Uranus at 6 degrees Scorpio. Ooh. So Uranus at 6 degrees Taurus. I'm sorry, I was wrong. It would be at 6 degrees Taurus. That would be the halfway point. So once Uranus gets to halfway across from, maybe it already happened for me. I think it may have already happened. Anyway, in fact, I think it already did. Let me see. So sorry, everybody. Yeah, so 6 degrees. Oh, surprise, surprise. That's where I'm at right now. Oh, okay. Anyway, so anyway, when it gets to that point, you start to go, oh my goodness, what am I going to be doing with my life? Things are people like, okay, midlife crisis is notorious for, like, you hear the stories of people going through their midlife crisis and they like buy cars and stuff and they like go and find another family. Like, so that is a Uranus thing. Every 7 years, they say that, there's a 7-year itch. That's what it is. So, um, so yeah, I think, let's see here. So yeah, anyway, Uranus wants to keep things moving. It's not necessarily, it's not stable. It's like, hey, let's shake things up. Saturn is like, hey, let's grow roots. And the two of them are kind of like conflicting each other all year this year. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. Uranus and Taurus, yeah. Okay, so Uranus and Taurus it corresponds with inventions. In the past, it's corresponded with inventions. It's the Great Awakener. I'm going to stop the share for a second. Okay, it's the Great Awakener. It shakes things up, opens our eyes to what we've been sweeping under the rug. And Taurus is the sign. It's an earth sign. It is a fixed earth sign. So it really is rooted. It is concerned with personal possessions, creature comforts, food, shelter, money, material things. So when you think about it, you have all of these things. Taurus also is the sign, the second house sign, and the second house sign is also very nurturing, comforting. And then you've got Uranus sitting there. And so think about Uranus and what that stands for. So Uranus standing for, like, it's awakening and it's shaking things up. And I hate to pull up historical examples. However, I really do feel like it is one of the ways that we do learn. We learn from our history. The last time that Uranus was in Taurus, it was the time when the Great Depression. It kind of set things in motion. It was around the same time as the rise of Hitler. So I'm not foreshadowing. I am not. Oh, Susie, your birthday is tomorrow. No one. Awesome! Happy birthday! Okay, so sorry, everybody. That was exciting. I'm like, yay, that's good. So yeah, but yeah, talking about that Uranus and Taurus, it's heavy energy. It also symbolizes a lot of amazing innovation. There can be a lot that comes out of it. Because Uranus is a lot of, again, it's awakening, it's inventiveness, it's visionary, and Taurus is, material things. So it's like you're also going to see a lot of, like, I think we saw the printing press come in, and that sort of thing, things that make life easier. Uranus and Taurus it corresponds with that. You're welcome, Susie. So again, I'm not here to predict the future. That's not, I don't believe that astrology is here to do that, to predict. It's not necessarily a divinatory tool, but it can be. I do have a strong fortune teller part that really, I do like to do that. So if I tend to get over there, if you notice that I tend to get a little bit too fortune tellery, Tony, that's enough. So, but yeah, that's called mundane astrology. It is, it fascinates me. It's what got me into astrology. I'm really into it, but at the same time, the purpose of this group is to help you understand what tools that you have that can actually help you. So I'm here to help you get through this whatever is happening on our planet right now. So, but yeah, the thing that I love about astrology though is how it brings us all together. And I can see on a chart how it brings us all together. You know, our outer planets and the moon correspond with to that, to the unconscious, that which is hidden. And so so yeah, you've got the unconscious part and you have the conscious parts. You have all of the elemental parts. You have how you approach problems in the world. We have more personal planets, and those represent the parts of us that we are more familiar with. And during our waking conscious hours, and we have the social planets, and those bridge us on a personal level to the collective, which is just amazing. It's beautiful. So to me, when I look at a person's natal chart, I can see how they are connected to all things. And yeah, we could get into a deep philosophical conversation about that, but we're not going to do that right now. That would be my Uranus and Scorpio part coming out. But yeah, I can see the ingredients of a person. You know, like we all are. I feel like a natal chart is kind of like a recipe. You know, and what you do. But it's only got the ingredients. It doesn't necessarily have like how exactly to do the things, but it has you know, has some direction, but not too much. Kind of like when your grandma, you know, you're like, hey grandma, how do you make your you know, your chocolate souffle? And your grandma goes, oh, you know, you put some flour in there. And it's like, well, that's not okay. Thanks, grandma. Super fun. But yeah, so yeah, you know, it might have some flour, some butter, and some sugar, and so some people make cookies with that, and some people make cake, and sometimes it's for a kid's birthday party, and sometimes it's for the queen. So you never know. You never know. So those planets, you can have the planets. Twin studies are fascinating. You can have planets that are in the exact same position. They can be expressed completely differently, all because of free choice. So yeah, I have a friend who has an identical twin. Her twin was born literally, I think, like the next minute. So their birth times are not very different. They have pretty much identical birth charts. They are completely different people. It's amazing to see this, but you can see it's like there's different aspects of those planets that are all expressed in their charts. So it's not to say that one's wrong and one's right. It's just the expression of the planets are completely different. So wow, how fascinating is that? You know, wow. Anyway, so this is all to say that you have power and you have gifts at your disposal, and you have favorable planets and you have favorable aspects, and those all tell you exactly what tools you have, what tools you came into the world with. Some of them you may not even know you have, you know, until somebody says, hey, did you realize that you're really good at da 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 da, and it's like, oh my goodness, I had no idea, you know. Yeah, and then some aspects may seem really difficult, yet they actually end up becoming a strength. I have a sun Pluto. We're going to talk about sun Pluto today, but I have a sun Pluto conjunction in my chart, and I have realized that it is absolutely one of my greatest gifts, but yet one of my greatest curses at the same time. So yeah, it's really interesting. So you could have Saturn and Chiron returns that come along throughout your lifetime that are they're gonna mess some shit up. Like that's just gonna happen. You know, you're gonna have Pluto squares. I'm going through that right now. Fun. You know, midlife is fun. All right. So weird ass conjunctions with Mars in your eighth house. Eighth house is all about death and rebirth. And, you know, so it's like things are going to happen in your life. Okay. You're going to have benefic years. Okay. Benefic or like, years that are ruled by Jupiter or ruled by Venus. And yeah, and those can be, yeah, ruled by Jupiter or Venus. And those might be awesome. And you'll find that you have things that just fall into your lap. You're like, wow, I got that job. I didn't even expect it. Well, it may be because you're in a Jupiter year. So yeah, I'm looking through my notes here. So yeah, then you also have years that test you. And those are like last year and this year, right? Okay, so the way it's starting off. Thanks, 2020, 2021. But yeah, so those years that you're tested more than others are the ones that you really, I believe, you earn your wings. I don't believe that we can go through life painlessly. And I think that it's possible that we can choose, or not choose, but the amount of suffering that we end up enduring is something that we have a relationship with life. When you come into this life, you have a relationship with it, and you bring certain elements into relationships. You can bring toxicity into a relationship, and it's going to be a crappy relationship, right? You can also bring positivity and encouragement and excitement and enthusiasm into life or into a relationship, and then you're going to have a completely different result. And so that's what I want to challenge you with, is really consider, how is it that you would like to approach this year, this coming year? Are you interested in, if you're feeling like this year may be particularly challenging for you, or if last year was particularly challenging for you, is it possible that you're gaining more wisdom? Just consider, is it possible? Am I gaining more wisdom at this point? Am I gaining more strength and more power? And if that's so, and I've got to tell you that whenever you have a Saturn transit, that's a year when you are gaining more wisdom. It's whenever you have a Pluto transit, that's a year that you're gaining more power. Whenever you have if you have a challenging Mars Pluto transit, I got to tell you, I was having a Mars Pluto transit when my stepdaughter took her life, and the amount of courage that I ended up mustering up during that process was something that you can't buy that, with therapy. I had to live through it. It was a painful experience, but it was truly transforming, So, yeah, you can't, it's like you can't get through life pain-free. Or at least I don't believe so. Some people believe that you can, and I'd like to know what they're smoking. So, but collectively, the energy that we are feeling right now is a lot like labor and birth, delivery, all of it. They say that the earliest trauma that we ever go through is from birth itself. They say that it's so incredibly painful. I don't remember it. I'm sure we all have PTSD, otherwise we would. I just can't imagine, like, our heads, the human skull is not even fused. It's like we have flimsy bones in our head so that our brains can be smashed during labor and childbirth. Like, how painful would that be? Like, I hate, like, just hitting my head on the wall. Like, I hit my head in my car door today and it was painful, and I was like all mad, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, at birth your head is squeezed through a narrow tube. Like, come on, like, that's painful. That's painful. It's incredibly painful, but somehow we make it out, and we make it out alive. Like, welcome to life. Here you go. Here's a bunch of pain. Like, That's the way we're ushered into life. Like, it's a really incredibly painful experience to be born. And so when we think about that's where we're at right now, you know, that's what I'm feeling in my heart. And I think a lot of other people are too. Um, so yeah. So yeah. So anyway, through the birth canal, okay, as if like getting the head up out wasn't enough, like um your lungs are full of fluid, you know, when you are born, because you've got all that amniotic fluid in your lungs. So as you're pushed out through the birth canal, all of the liquid in your lungs is also pushed out, like that much force, just you're squeezed that much. And that fluid, it's it's necessary to push all that fluid out so that we can take our first nourishing breath. So when you think about that, you know, and so that we can experience the bliss and the nurturing coming from loving parents, that pain makes it all worth it, right? You know, and it's just so sweet to think about like a mother looking at her down at her baby, you know, for the first time, like, oh my gosh, look at that little precious little being, you know. Um, and if that wasn't your story, then you know I'm sorry, but not I'm sorry, but you know I'm incredibly sorry. But we do all have those really positive, nurturing, beautiful experiences as well. So so yeah, it's okay. It's okay if you didn't have that experience with your mother. Or if you might be longing for that, you know, that mother-daughter experience or that mother-child experience yourself, and you haven't had the chance to have that, it's okay. You know, it could be this is just, you know, we're handed a plate, and you know, in our life, shaped like a needle wheel, um, and we do what we can with what we're given, right? So yeah, the point is that the moment that we come into the world, we begin to experience the world in on a pleasure pain spectrum. So our world is in pain right now, and um, it's having all that old, nasty, outdated fluid crap squeezed out of it right now, and it's not pretty. Neither is birth. It's ugly, and you can't love and light it. You can't. You know, you don't tell a pregnant woman that who's in labor that, you know, just sit quietly and in love and light your baby will magically appear in your in your arms. Like that doesn't happen, right? You oh yes, you call this the growing years soul growth. That's yes, soul growth, absolutely. Yeah, it's so that's powerful. So but yeah, so a woman in labor, you know, she needs to feel pain, right? To she needs to feel the pain of labor so that she has the impulse to push and it's like, and then you deal with the pain. And during that painful period, I totally remember the pain. I don't know. These people that are like, oh, you don't remember it. It's awesome. And now I have 8 kids. Like, nope, not me. The second one, I was like, I am freaking done. I'm not going to ever do that again. But during the moment, you can't just back out. You're going through it. You know, it's like, I'm going to pass through this pain threshold. And at the end, there's going to be something really awesome. Right now, it really sucks. That's okay. Acknowledge it. We have to acknowledge it. I just think that labor is such a really good metaphor for so many things. Anyway, sorry if I'm a little bit graphic today. So anyway, when a baby's ready to be born, it's ready to be born. It's like, let's do this, you know, and you can't just be like, oh, huh. Anyway, so that said, 2021, it has a handful of transits that that point to so many different possible uncomfortable events. And yes, it's possible that Uranus and Taurus could point to some sort of economic collapse of some sort, and you know, like it did during the Great Depression. And it also corresponds with amazing inventions. So We also have Uranus and Taurus, radical disruption and change of the status quo. It can cause fear and resistance, and but the key is to remain as flexible and adaptable as possible. So yeah, it's important. Political upheaval, yeah, it's a side effect. That's something we can expect. We can expect some growing pains, not some growing pains, some labor pains, like some freaking painful, like no epidural, nasty. It's okay. It's okay. We'll get through it. We'll breathe. Okay. And if you need some practice breathing, I'm going to put together a meditation course. It's not going to be too involved, but I really feel like it's necessary right now to have some meditation, some tools in place throughout the year. And so that's my very first project. So I'm going to be doing that in the coming weeks, and then putting that out so we can learn to breathe through it all. And yeah, so no more birth stories, I promise. So we have history though, and we can learn from it, and that's what I think is really important too. Couple more things. When I look at the charts of young people now, I am so incredibly hopeful. And when I say young people, I do mean millennials, because it's like the generation, I don't know. Okay, I'm one of those like quarter, like on the cusp, Gen Z, millennial, zennial. My wife, like, she makes fun of me because I like totally got pee hearted about it. I was like, I can't believe that I'm a zennial. I'm not a Gen X. Whatever. She's like, that is such a Gen X, sort of response. So, but yeah. So when I look at the charts of young people, of millennials and the Gen Z kids, I see that millennials just got past their Saturn return. So Saturn return is at 28 years. And in astrological terms, you're not considered an adult until that time. So millennials, a lot of millennials are just now becoming to they're coming of age. They're just starting to wake up to what they are capable of doing. And they're not yet in the public eye, they're starting to be, which I think is awesome. And but yeah, now that their Saturn has returned, and that brings a whole lot of interesting experiences. My sister's a millennial. I love her, and she's just like, what's going on? And I'm like, yeah, that's labor. Sorry, no more labor talk. But they have Pluto in Scorpio. Millennials have Pluto in Scorpio with Uranus. Some of them have Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn. So that is a very, tuned in to collective and the planet and all this stuff. They're awesome. Okay. And their passion is to create and change all sorts of stuff, so, which is so important. They're very zealous. They have so much zealous outspokenness. Zealous. I'll say it again. Zealous outspokenness for social justice, environmental causes. They are developing ideologies, and for most at this point, those ideologies are formed and they're ready to move on. So I'm like, yes, okay, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. Then we have the Gen Z kids. They're Pluto and Sagittarius, and they are, goodness, incredible kids. There's an increased awareness of the need for change and activism. Activism has been a part of their childhood, and I think of when I think of the Pluto and Sagittarius generation, think of like Greta Thunberg, who, if you haven't watched I Am Greta, it's on Hulu, I believe. Amazing. Oh my goodness. If you want to see what true activism looks like and why she was so flippin' pissed off when she got to New York and she gave that speech that was just so full of passion, if you see what she went through just to get there, it's like, holy crap. And she's what, like 16? Like, wow. Like I get chills, Malala, Emma Gonzalez, like the Parkland shootings. Like these are kids that have dealt with so much already. And yeah, they're raring to go. They're interested in political reform. They're interested in revolution, and not like, I'm just not even going to talk about it, but like they're just interested in seeing a different, more positive world. Excellent at inspiring others. I'm super hopeful. So yeah, we have so much hope, and we're continuing to evolve. And the best thing that we can do is listen. So so yeah, I want to get into the transits for this week. I know that it has been now 34 minutes. Ugh, I know it's been really, really long. And we've got a lot of transits this week. A lot of transits going through January. February, the middle of February is about to get really interesting. So I'll go through these. Hopefully I can get through them quickly. So January 11th through February 2nd, we have Mars square Saturn. Okay, you're going to be feeling this all throughout this time. Mars's energy and drive. Oh my goodness, I have not shared my screen. Let me do that. Actually, let me pull this up first. All right, let me take that out. Share my screen. There we go. Haha. Okay. All righty, here we go. I'm gonna go to world, and all righty, here we are. All right. Let me move that. Okay. We have got the Mars square Saturn. Here's Mars. And it is squaring Saturn, that thick red line going to Saturn. That's Saturn right there. Okay. So athletic stamina, that's steady effort and difficulty getting things done, unfortunately, because Saturn is, is restriction. Frustration, action, meeting resistance. It's authoritarian force. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind as we move through January into February. That Mars square Saturn is going to be an interesting thing. We have Mercury. Here's Mercury right here, the blue one with the little horns. See him? Okay. Mercury conjunct Saturn. Okay, so it's within a 2-degree orb. So these two are close together. That's communication. Mercury is communication. Again, Saturn is restriction, structure, maturity, time, all that stuff. So this could mean resistance to expression. Okay. People feeling as if they don't have the ability to speak. Mental energy could be stifled. It's great for concentrating. If you have some studies to get done, it's really good for that. But it can also lead to some frustration. So just keep that in mind. We also have Mercury conjunct Jupiter. This is all on the 11th, all today. Mercury conjunct Jupiter again. So here's Mercury. Jupiter is right here, right behind it. Okay. And they're all in Aquarius. So Mercury, this is important to notice when it comes to COVID. I oftentimes go, oh yeah, COVID. So there's that too. Anyway, so Mercury is the planet of communication. It also governs over the lungs. And Jupiter is the planet, it is the planet of expansion and spread. So if you enjoy learning, if you enjoy studying, this is a really great transit for that. But we could possibly see an uptick in COVID, and we could also see an uptick in bragging, in putting your foot in your mouth, foot and mouth disease. So just be careful. Don't pay too much attention to social media. It may be a good time to just do some meditation, so Mercury square Mars is yet another one. Here we go, Mercury, and then here's Mars. So you've got that red line leading to Mars right there. Okay, and this is okay. I really want to talk about how important orbs are at this moment, because on the 7th last week, this orb got close to it got really close. It got within 2 degrees of this transit. Okay. So, and this transit it governs over, again, communication, energy, drive, thoughts become mobilized. Thoughts become more, you can see aggression. You see a little bit more aggressive thoughts, aggressive actions. You see also courage and thoughts being put into action, taking on a life of their own. So that is just something to think about, and as I move through these transits throughout this week, these are all transits that you're going to be feeling all week long throughout it. And so just be gentle with yourself. Self-care is so huge. Jupiter square Uranus. Here we have Jupiter. Okay. And then you have Uranus right here. Okay. Jupiter square Uranus, expansion. And Jupiter also rules over beliefs, your story, and Uranus is revolution. So you'll notice that this corresponds with expanding visions or energizing experience, having energizing experiences, abundant flashes of insight. Okay, abundance, Jupiter is abundance, and then you have Uranus, which is flashes of insight, breakthroughs in science and technology. So that's exciting. Going off the deep end, too much, too fast. This is a transit that's going to be kind of sticking around for a bit. So yes, this is something that's what we can expect. Let's see here. So January 12th, I'm gonna move my face out of the way here. Okay. January 12th. We have got Mercury square Uranus exact. Did I? And I feel like, okay. So there we go. Mercury square Uranus exact. Again, jolt of insight, inventiveness, random quirkiness, hyperstimulated nervous system. So again, do your breathing, do your meditating, new information coming out. So that's always interesting. On January 13th, moving around, there we go. January 13th, we have the new moon in Capricorn, and at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's going to be conjunct Pluto. So let's see here. All right, so see these here? We've got the sun at 23 degrees. We've got the, oh, here we go. So yeah, so there we go. All right, so here's the moon. Did you see how it jumped so much? That's how quickly the moon moves. Here it's at 12 degrees. And I move forward one day to the 13th, and the moon has jumped to 26 degrees. So again, if it were 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it would actually be sitting right on top of that sun at 23 degrees. So the two of them are sitting on top of Pluto at 24 degrees. And so moon in Capricorn, Capricorn is very tangible. It's very, it's a realistic sign. If you feel that you must act, this new moon is great for putting forth effort in the material world towards whatever you feel fueled or that you want to do. With the conjunction to Pluto, it's your feelings are being you may feel like your feelings are being overpowered, or just you may have overall feelings of being overpowered by others or by forces or whatever, or just overwhelmed really. use this as juice, you know, just think of it as juice, like it's a playground for you to build up resilience. If there's nothing directly threatening you, yeah, use it as a playground to exercise boundaries, you know, drawing boundaries. Sun conjunct Pluto, yeah, right there. That's vitality, it's transformation. There's a light shining on renewal and healing. It's almost like a shamanic sort of thing, you know. So Pluto's transformation in the sun is like self, and it's um, you could experience a day of this could be a day of power struggles or personal. It's either power struggles or personal empowerment. Again, whatever it is that you decide to bring into the day, you know, how am I going to approach this? Am I going to see this as a struggle, or am I going to choose to see this as a exercise for my for growing empowerment, for feeling more empowered? And both are possible. Both are possible. Um, yeah, most of the time. There are the times, of course, when we know the world we live in right now. So, um, but yeah, do what you need to access your personal power on these days. The 14th, we have got the moon square Uranus. Yeah, it's a weak square, but at this point, but you know how quickly the moon moves, but it'll be passing through and you might feel this. But the moon is in emotions, it's nurturing. You might, during this time, you might be like, you know, I want to express my emotions. I'm going to you might experience shifts in your emotional outlook, emotional unpredictability. You may notice some immaturity, you know, erratic behavior, maybe not necessarily immaturity on your part, immaturity on other people's parts too, you know, some interesting things, erratic behavior. Um, then we also have Mars that is square Saturn. Um, it's going to be exact on this day, on the 14th, but you may be feeling it already all throughout the week. And I talked about this a little bit at the beginning, so go ahead and rewind it and listen to it. All right. So on the 15th, we have a Venus. Look at this. Isn't that nice? Okay, we've got a Venus. Trines are so nice. I love trines. Trines are like, they're benefic. They're nice. And Venus is the lesser benefic. It's nice. And it's trine Uranus. So that's nice. So it's trying its best to make you, let's make the good, you know, let's take the juice from this and write it, everyone. So this is your values, and again, Uranus is revolution. So it's like it's Venus. You're going to use your values. You know, have your values in place. Have whatever it is that you want to, like those New Year's resolutions, or if you have a word of the year, you know, and you want to integrate it into your value system. Doing something to bring that out on this day, on the 15th, would be a great thing. It's sticking to a routine. It's following through with something. It's yeah, this is developing a deep values. This is developing your deep value system. So so yeah, you might feel this all week too. Not saying it's going to be just one day. So yeah, so that's what we've got for. That's all the transits for the week. Yay, we got through that. So this is something that's upcoming, but you may notice it's all right. So it's the Mars conjunction Uranus. Do you see how close Mars is to Uranus right now? This is something we got to talk about because on the 15th, right now, it's within 2 degrees of Uranus. It will be exact on the 20th. And so I will get into the astrology that is going to be happening around the 20th. It is pretty intense. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But on the 21st, the moon is going to join them. So that brings emotionality and instinct. And so yes, it's indeed going to be a roller coaster ride. And so yes, if you need tools for just making it through, for just staying present, drop it in the comments and I will get to you, and I will post those in, I'll put it up here in the group. So, but yeah, this is energy and drive. Mars is energy, drive, and again, Uranus is revolution. So you could experience a rush of excitement. You could experience guard against carelessness. You could experience accidents and outbursts and a pursuit of visionary passion. So that is going to be really strong. And this is a longer transit. Again, it's going to be going on all the way throughout the month, but it is exact on the 20th. So if you're feeling it, if you're feeling a little tense, there you go. This correlates with that sort of feeling. So that's about it for right now. Let me see. I'm going to jump on, see if there's any questions. Hope always. Yeah, Susie. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you need anything throughout this week. I don't mind giving you guys tools to use here in the group. If you need some breathing exercises, I'm actually practicing some breathing exercises. I've been kind of like dabbling with I'm constantly taking courses, you guys, all the time. And so, so yeah, if you could use, mudras, maybe I'll pop in here once a day and like give you one little small thing. I promise to be small. It won't be an hour-long chat like this has been, but I think it was important. Anyway, let me know what you need. Let me know how I can help you. Let me know how I can support you. And don't forget, I do have 2021 readings that are available. And that's about it. Let me know. Again, let me know if you have any questions. I love you guys, and I will see you next week or throughout the week this week, because I really do want to support you with whatever it is that you need. Okay. All right. And feel free to share whatever is happening in your life too. I'm really interested. I am. And yeah. So take care.